Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last episode of this season of the Brown Indian Notion. I'm Gogol.
And I'm Ananya, and joining us today is our lovely producer Anna.
Hello.
And hippity hop, I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. I'm in love, I'm in love.
So, what are we talking about today?
Today, as Deba said, is our last episode of the first season. Yay! I'm so excited.
Yay!
Um,
Me too.
throughout the season, we were collecting some feedback from our listeners, and we decided to do a Q&A, a questions and answers. Let's see how this goes. So we got a lot of opinions and questions from our friends and listeners. And I think the first one, especially after the first three episodes, were like, so how do you know each other? How do the three of us get to start this podcast, right? So my story and Deba's story is in the Friendly Banana, so you can go and listen to Anna and Deba, the beginning. But so Ananya, how do you know Deba? How did this friendship came to be?
So, we were not really friends, we were just in college together, and he was 1 year
Yeah,
younger to me.
yeah.
And we kind of got back in touch when I was working in USA, and then we started talking about this, doing something with podcast with our voices and this.
Yeah, as you said, so basically we were having a long conversation about something. I think this is already something we discussed in some other episode, but yeah, me and Ananya, we were having a conversation about something random, and then yeah, we decided that this shouldn't be kept between us, and more people should be allowed to hear what we talk about. So and I think a lot of times we actually felt that, not only with the two of us, but of course we also felt that with other people, that oh, this is an interesting conversation, why don't we record it, why don't we have it as a podcast or something like that. So yeah, it's just that's how the whole thing came to fruition, I guess.
Yeah, so this actually connects very well to other question we get often. So how are the topics decided? So you guys started this. First time you sit down to think about the topics, because I came a bit later. How did it started from there?
So I think at some point, like when we were planning the whole podcast, like how the podcast should sound like, what topics we want, like what the podcast should be actually, we wrote down a bunch of topics in an Excel sheet that you have seen as well, I think, Bana. So we were
Yes.
just brainstorming and like putting stuff there, like whatever we could think of, and then we would be like, okay, we'll just get back to them when we are planning an episode. And then what happened was that, of course, when we started, we reached out to our closest friends and family and asked them what they wanted to talk about, because we didn't have a clue what we were doing, right? So we asked our closest friends to basically tell us what they wanted to talk about. And thankfully, like, they have all graciously told us what they wanted to talk about, what they're passionate about. We just took it from there. We tried to polish those ideas a bit. I mean, polish is a big word, but make it a bit more suited for the kind of podcast that we wanted to have. And yeah, basically plan that with the guests. So for the first few episodes, I would say most of the heavy lifting were done by your guests. Yeah. Ananya, you want to comment on that?
And like you said, that it was very nice of them to join us. Sometimes we would be really disorganized in the first few episodes because we were not really sure where we were going with this, or we would have
Right.
a very long recording or a very short recording or something like that. But yeah, I genuinely want to thank our guests.
Totally.
And did you feel that the way you look at the topics in the beginning somehow changed along the season? Maybe you had some idea that some topics would work out and that they didn't. I don't know. Do you want to comment on that? Do you have some?
Yeah, I think so. Like the first thing that comes to my mind, because that's the most recent episode right now, is the mental health one. When we did that, was the second episode as well, and the penultimate episode. So it just shows the range of how much we're comfortable discussing our mental health, I guess, because initially we were just skirting around the topic. Then we got some positive feedback and we decided, okay, let's do a full blown one, and we did it, and we will take it up again because it's more relevant than ever. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that shows the kind of progress we have made about our own thinking also, and also about voicing our opinions about things.
And what Bana said, I think that's also very true and funny. Is that the I think at least for me, the episodes that I thought would do very well didn't do so well, and I had doubts about certain episodes that actually ended up doing pretty well. So
Yeah,
in the process, I think we have also learned a lot about our audience, however small that might be. We have learned what they like, and we are trying to be mindful of those things going ahead with planning the next season.
And another thing that I guess it really pops up was that there is a difference on tonality on the episodes. I would say maybe we have three different tonalities. I would not say this was something that people didn't like, but was something that people noticed, and they were like, okay, so what about this? Is this intentional? Did you wanted this from the beginning, that you'll have different tonalities on the episodes, or they just popped up?
I did not even think about it, honestly. I
Yeah.
feel like I was so naive in the beginning, I didn't think about tonalities at all. But the fact that it has come up, I guess it's a happy surprise.
Yeah, for me, I did think about it. I knew in the beginning that generally podcasts or shows, they try to have a very consistent tone, and I was very aware of the fact that what I wanted to do was not have that. It's a bit counterintuitive, but I feel that life is not like that. And because when people ask us what kind of podcast do you have, we always say it's a slice of life podcast, right? And a slice of life essentially has to have multiple tonalities, in my opinion, and that's why I always wanted that. I didn't know how to do that. That came about while doing it, but I always had that in the back of my head, that I don't want this podcast to only be chirpy or only be sad, or as Ananya was mentioning in some episode, only be about relationship troubles. I didn't want it to be one thing. I just wanted it to be like a slice of life. Being a slice of life means you have different moods and emotions and tonalities.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I really like that there is different tonalities. I'm not sure about our listeners if they always want sharpie episodes, maybe. And this actually comes a bit in the process, not only behind each episode because people are interested in, but actually in the whole process. So I can share now a bit from my side. We are aware of these tonality differences and we try to schedule accordingly,
Hmm.
right? The episodes that are a bit more somber or a bit more heavy are guarded by chirpy and nice
Yes.
episodes. We don't want you guys to get too depressed. So people are interested in the process behind each episode. Do you want to maybe tell what are the main steps we go before recording, during, and after?
So I guess it really depends on what kind of episode we are having. When there's a guest, what we generally do is basically talk to the guest and decide on a loose topic, like what area does that person want to talk about, and then we send them this link to a document where they can put down their thoughts, where we can read what they're putting down, where we can put down our thoughts, and then just before we record with them, we try to have a call, and we kind of tell them, okay, go through the process that this is the structure of the show. We'll have a recommendation section, so please think of one, and how we want to proceed with the whole episode. So for example, I'll tell them, okay, I can ask this question, and then like what you wrote down here is very interesting, and so for that I can ask you this question, and from that you can actually go to something else. So this is what we do, not all the times, but sometimes, because some episodes are not that it's well structured, it's more loose. So for them, we just have a very informal approach to things. And for the episodes that just involves the three of us or just the two of us, it's in those cases we do some research a little bit if it's required, but mostly we just like get on a call. We start discussing on what we want to talk about, what should be the tone, how do we want to talk about it, what things are okay to mention, what things are kind of off bounds, and then we just take it from there.
Our creative process is very like, there's an idiom in Bengali, I don't know how how well I can translate, which my sister sometimes would say that I will just do it on the stage, improvise. Yes,
Yeah, and to be honest, I think most of the episode comes during the editing process. Like going in, a lot of times we do not know the structure, and then we are just like endlessly talking about shit. I think we should change that, but we spend a lot of time editing, and that is where most of the episode forms, and we give it a structure.
So I have this funny story. I think it was the episode that was more chaotic because it was the other episode, right?
Yes,
Because it was
yeah,
supposed to be chaotic.
yeah.
Maybe you didn't see that. But so I recorded this with my friend Marlene, and she witnessed the recording, right? And it was chaotic because, again, the topic was other. And then she listened to the episode at the end, and she just tells me, I don't know how you managed to make it coherent.
Yeah,
But you did. It sounds
yeah,
like we had, a conversation with the, beginning, middle, and end. And
yeah.
yeah, so
So
there
that's
is
the
a
tricky
lot
part.
happening in
Yeah.
the editing room. Yes.
Yeah, most of it is happening in
Yeah.
the editing room. Yeah.
No, the
No, I'm
chemistry
just,
cannot be
yeah, yeah.
made in
Of course,
the.
of course, yeah.
Yeah, so then this goes into this question. So some people at some point was saying like, oh, it sounds like you just record in one go and then the episode is done because we still have this chemistry going on. But the truth is there is a lot of effort, as Deba was saying, in the editing. So there is a lot that goes unseen. We don't naturally talk so, fluid. We are much more chaotic. So I think this answers this question. How much time and effort behind each episode? I think a lot.
A lot, yeah. That's a
Yes, yeah. Especially because we needed to learn, right? Yeah,
yes, yes. This is everything is new to us. We are still learning.
yeah,
how much effort? A lot of effort. I want to say a lot of effort because all of us have full time jobs and commitments, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So all of us edit, all of us, I mean, obviously, all of us record. And I think it's just easier because all of us do a certain part, and that way the effort gets halved, but we still end up doing quite a bit, and hopefully, we will change that in the future.
yeah,
But right now, yeah, all of us are part of the process,
Yes.
basically.
So and then this connects to questions we get about future, about the second season, the future of the podcast. So some people were asking because we have a YouTube channel. So why don't we do video? Because they would love to see, our faces. I think
yeah.
they say this because they didn't see our faces. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. We are beautiful. We are amazing.
I'm kidding. Now you again say I'm kidding. uh,
I don't know. My mom says I'm beautiful, so
no, you are. You are. I'm just talking about myself. Anyway, go ahead.
Deb actually we are talking. So why not video?
Yeah, it's exactly like what we discussed. It already takes up a lot of time. We are not very professional with this yet. We do want to do video at some time. We have discussed this unofficially. No, everything is unofficial here, but like off the record, we have discussed this. We would at some point maybe do video, but for now, it's just too much effort. It's much easier to edit an audio file, and that too we take so much time with. So we would probably do a video once we have figured out the structure and we are eloquent enough that we do not need a lot of edits anymore.
And there is a problem of hardware, right? At least I don't
Yes.
have a computer that can edit video, and I don't have a good camera, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that implies money, right? So
Yeah. That
investment.
implies money. Yeah. No, but I think, I mean, if we have, I don't know, enough money to hire an editor, for example, we could look into this in the future, for example, because there has been multiple people, not one, who have asked me why not do a video, because a lot of people actually tell me that they really do not like the audio only platform and they are really uncomfortable with it. Maybe this is something that we could look at, but again, it requires a lot of investment, not only from a time perspective but also financial, I think. Yeah.
Something definitely beyond our skill set at this point.
And this goes in line with the question, why not longer episodes? So that's a bit easier than video, but still is a time problem, right? So we don't
Yeah.
have time to edit longer episodes.
What we can promise you, not promise you, but what we can try to do is that a lot of times we do end up recording a much longer episode, but we cut it down just because we want the episode, shorter than 30 minutes. So what we want to do going ahead is release those bits and pieces that we think are also interesting as bonus episodes.
I would also like it if we have something like, I don't know, a membership. We have thought about that.
Hmm.
And I know
Hmm.
there's a question regarding that, so I will not complete my answer now. But
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So this was the negative aspects, what we cannot do. But so what about next season? What is the positive thing? What can we do? So any plans, any ideas that you would like to share about next season?
So I remember, and this was a few months ago, so I hope I am getting this right. But I remember Deba and Anna was not there in this episode, and we were talking about inviting some really interesting people who
Hmm.
we wanted to be part of this podcast for a very long time.
Hmm.
And without giving too much away, we are looking at some more guests actually, because I think that definitely makes our podcast interesting. Like, while we love chatting and having, chirpy episodes, we would like to have more guests for sure.
Yeah.
People who are making real change in the world, or at least attempting to make change in the world, something like that.
So for me, what I've realized over this season is that yes, we do like doing these really philosophical episodes where we just talking about our feelings and experiences and stuff, and we would like to keep doing them from time to time. But we realize that what our audience really like is basically the stories that are, say, untold. For example, the episode that did the best was the art of womaning, because my friend basically talked about her experience in an industry which is male dominated. So this is some experience that was kind of untold. This was a story that was untold, and I think that is the way forward. And as Ananya said, we do have certain people in mind that we want to have on the podcast that we previously were not sure if we were, like, capable enough to even interview these people, even talk to these people. But now, having done this for 20 episodes at least, with one season in our bag, we are reasonably more confident to approach these people and to have a much balanced season, I would say. This is from the content point of view, and from the organizational point of view, I think there are a lot of things that we didn't know how to do, and we were trying to figure out how things work. So maybe going ahead, we could do a bunch of things better so that we could give you a better experience. Bana, do you want to comment on that as well? Maybe you have some thoughts.
No, yes, so I agree with you. I want to bring more guests, as I was discussing with you guys before. So we just have this problem that it will be difficult to invite people before we have the podcast, right? So
Right.
now we have the first season. It will be hopefully easier to reach out to people that maybe they are not so close to us,
Hmm.
but they have a story we want to share, right? So
Right.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. I really want to have more guests. I keep telling Deba I don't want to talk in the podcast much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe you will not see me as much in the second season, but I will be in the background. And
Yeah.
and this actually then connects a bit to the next question, because people are asking whether there's going to be more brown content. So more content that's tailored to your background.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tricky question to answer. So, the podcast is called The Brownian Notion, and we do want to talk about brown voices. And our friends, at least mine and Ananya's, are predominantly brown. So we do want to have a lot more stories from India, from Southeast Asia, from Asia in general, maybe, but also from the Middle East if we can find people, stories of brown people that are relevant for the world at large. The challenging part for us is basically finding stories that are relevant for everybody, because we don't want this podcast to be specific to certain demographic. We don't want it to be tailored to somebody and alienate somebody else. We want this to be a platform where voices can be heard from across the oceans, across the borders, and yeah, have a more relatable experience, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea is, like you said, while we try to have more brown voices, the experiences should speak to everybody. It should
Right.
not matter that someone is brown and so it is a very brown experience. The experience, we try to make sure that it is, everyone recognizes it, everyone sees themselves, a small part of themselves in the experience. Like, I remember there was a guy who reached out to me, speaking of that episode, Art of Womaning, and he said that how much he enjoyed it and how he doesn't even think about these things, and
Yeah.
that made me feel like it made a small difference. So
Exactly.
yeah, hopefully we will be able to include content like that more.
Yeah.
That's the dream, at least.
Yeah, I
Yes.
personally, I really like the episodes where we make a bridge between brown and non-brown. So
Yeah.
we have two. So we have the grief episode, right? And we have the
Yeah.
Ada episode, for example.
Yes.
Maybe a brown content can be opening the perspective of people,
Yeah, totally.
showing
Yes.
that some things are not exclusive to the brown community. But I don't know if this makes
Yes.
sense. I'm an outsider.
No, it does. It does. And also the other way around.
Exactly, and the other way around. Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of times we talk and we say, oh, we have this too. And this is such a I love when these things happen. And this is what we want to achieve on a whole.
Okay, now just to finalize our last question, it's somehow related to the efforts that we're talking before. So people are interested in like not only on the time effort, but at the same time on the costs effort. So
Right.
which kind of costs do we have now, and how do we deal with them right now?
So thankfully, there are a lot of free things available, free resources available that lets us do and have this podcast without spending money. But there are, of course, limitations behind it. So for example, there is a limitation about the 30-minute episode length for the video converter that we use, because then there will be a watermark, and that we do not want to have in our episodes, basically. But yeah, stuff like those. And also, like as Bana was mentioning, if we want to have video episodes in the future, we would need better equipment, we would need better cameras, we would need better microphones. We are still recording with our laptop microphones. Maybe we could have a better sound quality if we would definitely have better sound qualities if we had better equipment. And also with the storage stuff, storage is not easy. Each of these files are around 1 gigabyte each, and then we have to like continuously find like good cloud storage, and so that we can easily access whatever we have produced, whatever we have recorded, and stuff like that. So all of these things require money, require capital, and we are just unable to do those things right now, because we don't want to invest from our pockets necessarily. We want this podcast to be self-sufficient. So we at no point want to make money out of this, at least I don't. But what I would like it to be is to generate enough revenue so that we could upgrade our workstations and our systems and our processes, and hire people to do some stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that at no point are we thinking about making a lot of money or making this our sole career purpose. But the idea is it's a passion project. But at the same time, we also spend so much time, a lot of our free time, quote unquote, on this, that it would be nice to have, better software, better equipments, maybe hire interns to be able to take care of some of the stuff that we just don't have time for sometimes. Eventually, if there is interest, we can introduce membership plans for behind the scenes stuff, but that's an eventuality depending on people's interests, of
And I feel if we have actually people helping us out, like interns, or we have better software and stuff, will just save us. It will just save us so much time that we'll be able to focus a lot more on the content, and that is what we want to do. We want to give you the best content, we want to give you the best stories, we want to give you the best experiences and stuff like that. But instead, yeah, we spend most of our times behind our computers trying to edit some sense into our episodes, I guess. This is something that we definitely want to avoid.
Okay, so I see there is a lot of plans ahead.
Yes.
So you can definitely, the listeners can definitely count on a second season. We are still pumped. We are doing second season, right?
Yeah.
Can I announce that?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. We are very pumped.
It will probably come sometime beginning of summer. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
So you have to keep following our socials.
Yes.
And I guess this was the Q&A. So this was the questions, this was the feedback we got. Thank you to everybody that reached out to us.
Thank you so much. We know that we are not very good at managing our social media accounts. We, as we said, we are still learning. We are not very good with that yet. We will get better. We assure you. We promise you. We will try to do better from the next time. But thank you so much for writing us and, yeah, reaching us with your feedback and things. Yeah, we really really appreciate it.
Yeah, so and thank you guys for listening and just supporting us throughout. We have so many friends and relatives who have been listening and giving us valuable feedback, and people we don't even know giving us valuable feedback. So thank you so much for being there. Hope you join us for the next season as well. We are very very pumped about that, and I guess we will see you next season.
See you next season. Yeah,
See
I
you.
wasn't expecting that. See you next season. Yeah, we are so
Oh my
grateful.
God.
We are so happy. So grateful. See you next season. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And hippity hop, I'm as happy as I can be. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom.
And I don't know if people have noticed, but we did not have a recommendation this during the finale. But if you guys come across things that we should recommend or which are exciting during our break, please feel free to DM us.
I do have one recommendation. So my recommendation is go and listen to the whole season again. Please.
Yeah,
We have put a lot of effort into this. Go and
yes.
fucking listen to the whole season. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, if there are episodes you did not listen to or something, make sure you catch up. We will quiz you guys.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
even if you did, there is always a second time. You can always
Yeah,
do a better listening job the
subscribe
second time.
and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yes, that's very important. Very important.